Hello, we're back. Today we're going to read one half of Sjambak by Jack Vance, the only public domain Jack Vance out there, unfortunately. It is very warm today, and I can't use my AC while I record because it's too loud. And my makeshift booth is basically a bunch of blankets, so it's really warm. So this might be, like I said, split in half, kind of short. But we'll get back to it either tomorrow or Monday, or sometime soon. Anyway, hang tight for a minute and a half, and then we'll get down to it. Alright, let's get down to business. This is Sjambak by Jack Vance. Howard Freyberg, production director of Know Your Universe, was a man of sudden and unpredictable moods, and Sam Catlin, the show's continuity editor, had learned to expect the worst. "Sam," said Freyberg, "regarding the show last night..." He paused to seek the proper words, and Catlin relaxed. Freyberg's frame of mind was merely critical. "Sam, we're in a rut. What's worse, the show's dull." Sam Catlin shrugged, not committing himself. "Seaweed processors of Alphard 9. Who cares about seaweed?" "It's factual stuff," said Sam, defensive but not wanting to go too far out on a limb. "We bring 'em everything. Color, fact, romance, sight, sound, smell. Next week, it's the ball expedition to the mixed-up mountains on Gropus." Freyberg leaned forward. "Sam, we're working the wrong slant on this stuff. We've got to loosen up. Sock 'em. Shift our ground. Give 'em the old human angle. Glamour, mystery, thrills." Sam Catlin curled his lips. "I got just what you want." "Yeah? Show me." Catlin reached into his wastebasket. "I filed this just 10 minutes ago." He smoothed out the pages. "Sequence idea by Wilbur Murphy. Investigate Horsemen of Space, the man who rides up to meet incoming spaceships." Freyberg tilted his head to the side. "Rides up on a horse?" "That's what Wilbur Murphy says." "How far up?" "Does it make any difference?" "No, I guess not." "Well, for your information, it's up 10,000, no, 20,000 miles. He waves to the pilot, takes off his hat to the passengers, then he rides back down." "And where does all this take place?" On, Catlin frowned. "Well, I can write it, but I can't pronounce it." He printed on his scratch screen, Cirgamesç. "Cirgamesç," read Freyberg. Catlin shook his head. "Well, that's what it looks like, but those consonants are all aspirated gutturals. It's more like Herkmershker." "And, where did Murphy get this tip?" "I didn't bother to ask." "Well," mused Freyberg, "we could always do a show on strange superstitions. Is Murphy around?" "He's explaining his expense account to Shifkin." "Get him in here. Let's talk to him." Wilbur Murphy had a blonde crew cut, a broad freckled nose, and a serious sidelong squint. He looked from his crumpled sequence idea to Catlin and Freyberg. "Didn't like it, eh?" We thought the emphasis should be a little different," explained Catlin. "Instead of the Space Horsemen, we'd give it the working title Odd Superstitions of Herkmershker." "Oh, hell," said Freyberg. "Call it Cirgamesç." "Anyway," said Catlin, "that's the angle." "But it's not superstition," said Murphy. "Oh, come, Wilbur. I got this for sheer sober-sided fact. A man rides a horse up to meet the incoming ships." "Where did you get this wild fable?" My brother-in-law is purser on the Celestial Traveler. At Riker's planet, they make connection with the feeder line out of Cirgamesç. Wait a minute, said Catlin. How did you pronounce that? Cirgamesç. The steward on the shuttle ship gave out this story, and my brother-in-law passed it along to me. Somebody's pulling somebody's leg. My brother-in-law wasn't, and the steward was cold sober. They've been eating bong. Cirgamesç is a Javanese planet, isn't it? Javanese, Arab, Malay. And then they took a bong supply with them, and hashish, chot, a few other sociable herbs. Well, this horseman isn't any drug dream. No? What is it? So far as I know, it's a man on a horse. 10,000 miles up, in a vacuum. Exactly. No spacesuit? That's the story. Catlin and Freyberg looked at each other. Well, Wilbur, Catlin began. Freyberg interrupted. What we could use, Wilbur, is a sequence on Cirgamesç superstition, emphasis on voodoo or witchcraft, naked girls dancing, stuff with roots in earth, but now typically Cirgamesç. Lots of color, secret rites stuff. Well, not much room on Cirgamesç for secret rites. It's a big planet, is it? Not quite as big as Mars. There's no atmosphere. The settlers live in mountain valleys with airtight lids over them. Catlin flipped the pages of thumbnail sketches of the inhabited worlds. It says here there's ancient ruins millions of years old. When the atmosphere went, the population went with it. Freyberg became animated. There's lots of material out there. Go get it, Wilbur. Life, sex, excitement, mystery. Okay, said Wilbur Murphy. But lay off this horseman in space. There is a limit to public credulity, and don't you let anyone tell you different. Cirgamesç hung outside the port, 20,000 miles ahead. The steward leaned over Wilbur Murphy's shoulder and pointed a long brown finger. It was right out there, sir. He came riding up. What kind of man was it? Strange looking? No, he was Cirgamesç. Oh, you saw him with your own eyes, eh? The steward bowed, and his loose white mantle fell forward. Exactly, sir. No helmet? No spacesuit? Oh, he wore a singlet vest and pantaloons and a yellow Hadrasi hat. No more. And the horse? Ah, the horse. Now there's a different matter. Different how? I can't describe the horse. I was intent on the man. Did you recognize him? By the brow of Lord Allah, it's well not to look too closely when such matters occur. Then you did recognize him? I must be at my task, sir. Murphy frowned in vexation at the steward's retreating back, then bent over his camera to check the tape feed. If anything appeared now, and his eyes could see it, the 200 million audience of Know Your Universe could see it with him. When he looked up, Murphy made a frantic grab for the stanchion, then relaxed. Cirgamesç had taken the great twitch. It was an illusion, a psychological quirk. One instant the planet lay ahead, then a man winked or turned away, and when he looked back, ahead had become below. The planet had swung an astonishing 90 degrees across the sky, and they were falling. Murphy leaned against the stanchion. Oh, the great twitch, he muttered to himself. I'd like to get that on 200 million screens. Several hours passed. Cirgamesç grew. The Sampan range rose up like a dark scab. The valley sultanates of Singgalut, Hadra, New Batavia, and Bong Bohot showed like glistening chicken tracks. The great rift colony of Sundaman stretched down through the foothills like the trail of a slug. A loudspeaker voice rattled the ship. Attention, passengers for Singgalut and other points on Cirgamesç. Kindly prepare your luggage for disembarkation. Customs at Singgalut are extremely thorough. Passengers are warned to take no weapons, drugs, or explosives ashore. This is important. The warning turned out to be an understatement. Murphy was plied with questions. He suffered search of an intimate nature. He was three-dimensionally X-rayed with a range of frequencies calculated to excite fluorescence in whatever object he might have secreted in his stomach, in a hollow bone, or under a layer of flesh. His luggage was explored with similar minute attention, and Murphy rescued his cameras with difficulty. "What are you so damn anxious about? I don't have drugs. I don't have contraband." "It's guns, Your Excellency. Guns, weapons, explosives. I don't have any guns." But these objects, here, they're cameras. They record pictures and sounds and smells." The inspector seized the cases with a glittering smile of triumph. "They resemble no cameras of my experience. I fear I shall have to impound." A young man in loose white pantaloons, a pink vest, a pale green cravat, and a complex black turban strolled up. The inspector made a swift obeisance with arms spread wide. "Excellency!" The young man raised 2 fingers. "You may find it possible to spare Mr. Murphy any unnecessary formality." "As Your Excellency recommends." The inspector nimbly repacked Murphy's belongings, while the young man looked on benignly. Murphy covertly inspected his face. The skin was smooth, the color of the rising moon. The eyes were narrow, dark, superficially placid. The effect was of silken punctilio, with hot ruby blood close beneath. Satisfied with the inspector's zeal, he turned to Murphy. "Allow me to introduce myself, Tuan Murphy. I am Ali Tomas, of the House of Singalut, and my father, the Sultan, begs you to accept our poor hospitality." "Why, thank you," said Murphy. "This is a very pleasant surprise." "If you will allow me to conduct you," he turned to the inspector, "Mr. Murphy's luggage, to the palace." Murphy accompanied Ali Tomas into the outside light, fitting his own quick step to the prince's feline saunter. "This is coming it pretty soft," he said to himself. "I'll have a magnificent suite with bowls of fruit and gin pahits, not to mention 2 or 3 silken girls with skin like rich cream bringing me towels in the shower. Well, it's not so bad working for Know Your Universe, after all. I suppose I ought to unlimber my camera." Prince Ali Tomas watched him with interest. "And what is the audience of Know Your Universe?" "We call them participants." "Expressive. And to how many participants do you serve?" "Oh, the Bowdler Index rises and falls. We've got about 200 million screens with 500 million participants." "Fascinating. And tell me, how do you record smells?" Murphy displayed the odor recorder on the side of the camera with its gelatinous track which fixed the molecular design. "And the odors recreated, they are like the originals?" "Oh, pretty close. Never exact, but none of the participants knows the difference. Sometimes the synthetic odor is an improvement." "Astounding," murmured the prince. "And sometimes... Well, Carson Tenlake went out to get the myrrh blossoms on Venus. It was a hot day, as days usually are on Venus, and a long climb. When the show was run off, there was more smell of Carson than there was of flowers." Prince Ali Tomas laughed politely. "We turned through here." They came out into a compound paved with red, green, and white tiles. Beneath the valley roof was a sinuous trough full of haze and warmth and golden light. As far in either direction as the eye could reach, the hillsides were terraced, barred in various shades of green. Spattering the valley floor were tall canvas pavilions, tents, booths, shelters. "Naturally," said Prince Ali Tomas, "we hope that you and your participants will enjoy Singalut. It is a truism that in order to import, we must export. We wish to encourage a pleasurable response to the Made in Singalut tag on our batiks, carvings, lacquers." They rolled quietly across the square in a surface car displaying the house emblem. Murphy rested against deep, cool cushions. "Your inspectors are pretty careful about weapons." Ali Tomas smiled complacently. "Our existence is ordered and peaceful. You may be familiar with the concept of Adak. I don't think so. A word, an idea from old Earth. Every living act is ordered by ritual, but our heritage is passionate, and when unyielding Adak stands in the way of an irresistible emotion, there is turbulence, sometimes even killing. Ah, an amok. Exactly. It is as well that the amok has no weapons other than his knife, otherwise he would kill 20, where now he kills 1. The car rolled along a narrow avenue, scattering pedestrians to either side like the bow of a boat spreading foam. The men wore loose white pantaloons and a short open vest. The women wore only the pantaloons. "Handsome set of people," remarked Murphy. Ali Tomas again smiled complacently. "I'm sure Singalut will present an inspiring and beautiful spectacle for your program." Murphy remembered the keynote to Howard Freiberg's instructions. Excitement! Sex! Mystery! Freiberg cared little for inspiration or beauty. "I imagine," he said casually, "that you celebrate a number of interesting festivals, colorful dancing, unique customs." Ali Tomas shook his head. "To the contrary, we left our superstitions and ancestor worship back on Earth. We are quiet Mohammedans and indulge in very little festivity. Perhaps this here is the reason for amoks and sjambaks." "Sjambaks? We are not proud of them. You will hear sly rumor, and it is better that I arm you beforehand with truth. What is a Sjambak? They are bandits, flouters of authority. I will show you one presently." "I heard," said Murphy, "of a man riding a horse up to meet the spaceships. What would account for a story like that?" It can have no possible basis," said Prince Ali Tomas. "We have no horses on Cirgamesç, none whatever." "But the veriest idle talk. Such nonsense will have no interest for your intelligent participants." The car rolled into a square 100 yards on a side, lined with luxuriant banana palms. Opposite was an enormous pavilion of gold and violet silk, with a dozen peaked gables casting various changing sheens. In the center of the square, a 20-foot pole supported a cage about 2 feet wide, 3 feet long, and 4 feet high. Inside this cage crouched a naked man. The car rolled past. Prince Ali Tomas waved an idle hand. The caged man glared down from bloodshot eyes. "That," said Ali Tomas, "is a Sjambak. As you see," a faint note of apology entered his voice, "we attempt to discourage them." "What's that metal object on his chest?" "The mark of his trade. By that you may know all Sjambak. In these unsettled times, only we of the house may cover our chests. All other must show themselves and declare themselves true Singalusi." Murphy said tentatively, "I must come back here and photograph that cage." Ali Tomas smilingly shook his head. "I will show you our farms, our vines and orchards. Your participants will enjoy these. They have no interest in the dollar of an ignoble Sjambak." "Well," said Murphy, "our aim is a well-rounded production. We want to show the farmers at work, the members of the great house at their responsibilities, as well as the deserved fate of wrongdoers." "Exactly. For every Sjambak there are 10,000 industrious Singalusi. It follows, then, that only 1/10,000th part of your film should be devoted to this infamous minority." "About 3/10 of a second, eh?" "No more than they deserve. You don't know my production director. His name is Howard Freiberg, and..." Howard Freiberg was deep in conference with Sam Catlin, under the influence of what Catlin called his philosophic kick. It was the phase which Catlin feared most. "Sam," said Freiberg, "do you know the danger of this business?" Ulcers, Catlin replied promptly. Freyberg shook his head. We've got an occupational disease to fight. Progressive mental myopia. Speak for yourself, said Catlin. Consider, we sit in this office. We think we know what kind of show we want. We send out our staff to get it. We're signing the checks, so back it comes the way we asked for it. We look at it, hear it, smell it, and pretty soon we believe it. Our version of the universe, full blown from our brains, like Minerva stepping out of Zeus. You see what I mean? I understand your words. We've got our own picture of what's going on. We ask for it. We get it. It builds up and up. And finally, we're like mice in a trap built of our own ideas. We cannibalize our own brains. Nobody will ever accuse you of being stingy with a metaphor. Sam, let's have the truth. How many times have you been off Earth? I went to Mars once, and I spent a couple of weeks at wow. I spent a couple of weeks at Aristilis Resort on the moon. Freyberg leaned back in his chair, as if shocked. And we're supposed to be a couple of learned planetologists. Tuh! Catlin made a grumbling noise in his throat. I haven't been around the Zodiac, so what? You sneezed a few minutes ago, and I said Gesundheit, but I don't have any doctor's degree. There comes a time in a man's life, said Freyberg, when he wants to take stock, get a new perspective. Relax, Howard, relax. In our case, it means taking out our preconceived ideas, looking at them, checking our illusions against reality. Are you serious about this? Another thing, said Freyberg. I went to check up a little. Shifkin says the expense accounts are frightful, but he can't fight it. When Keeler says he paid 10 minutes for a loaf of bread on Neckar 4, who's going to call him on it? Hell, let him eat bread. That's cheaper than making a safari around the cluster, spot-checking the supermarkets. Freyberg paid no heed. He touched a button. A 3-foot sphere full of glistening motes appeared. Earth was at the center, with thin red lines, the scheduled spaceship routes radiating out in all directions. Let's see what kind of circle we can make, Freyberg said. Gower's here at Canopus. Keeler's over here at Blue Moon. Wilbur Murphy's at Cirgamesç. Don't forget, muttered Catlin, we got a show to put on. We've got material for a year, scoffed Freyberg. Get hold of space lines. We'll start with Cirgamesç and see what Wilbur Murphy's up to. Wilbur Murphy was being presented to the Sultan of Singalut by Prince Ali Thomas. The Sultan, a small, mild man of 70, sat cross-legged on an enormous pink and green air cushion. Be at your ease, Mr. Murphy. We dispense with as much protocol here as practicable. The Sultan had a dry, clipped voice and the air of a rather harassed corporation executive. I understand you represent Earth Central Home Screen Network. I'm a staff photographer for Know Your Universe. We export a great deal to Earth, mused the Sultan, but not as much as we'd like. We're very pleased with your interest in us, and naturally we want to help you in every way possible. Tomorrow, the Keeper of the Archives will present a series of charts analyzing our economy. Ali Thomas shall personally conduct you through the fish hatcheries. We want you to know we're doing a great job out here on Singalut. I'm sure you are, said Murphy uncomfortably. However, that isn't quite the stuff I want. No, just where do your desires lie? Ali Thomas said delicately, Mr. Murphy took a rather profound interest in the Sjambak displayed in the square. Oh, and you explained that these renegades could hold no interest for serious students of our planet? Murphy started to explain that clustered around 200 million screens tuned to Know Your Universe were 400 or 500 million participants, the greater part of them neither serious nor students. The Sultan cut in decisively. I will now impart something truly interesting. We Singalusi are making preparations to reclaim 4 more valleys with an added area of 600,000 acres. I shall put my physiographic models at your disposal. You may use them to the fullest extent. I'll be pleased for the opportunity, declared Murphy. But tomorrow I'd like to prowl around the valley, meet your people, observe their customs, religious rites, courtships, funerals. The Sultan pulled a dour face. We are ditch-water dull. Festivals are celebrated quietly in the home. There is small religious fervor. Courtships are consummated by family contract. I fear you will find little sensational material here in Singalut. You have no temple dances? Asked Murphy. No firewalkers, snake charmers, voodoo? The Sultan smiled patronizingly. We came out here to Cirgamesç to escape the ancient superstitions. Our lives are calm, orderly. Even the amaks have practically disappeared. But the Sjambaks, negligible. Well, said Murphy, I'd like to visit some of these ancient cities. I advise against it, declared the Sultan. They are shards, weathered stone. There are no inscriptions, no art. There's no simulation in dead stone. There is no stimulation in dead stone. Now, tomorrow, I will hear a report on hybrid soybean plantings in the Upper Kham district. Oh, you will want to be present. Large page break. Gonna take a quick drink of water. Hang tight. We'll read one more segment and then I think we'll call it there for the day. Starting to swelter in here. Okay. Murphy's suite matched, or even excelled, his expectation. He had 4 rooms and a private garden enclosed by a thicket of bamboo. His bathroom walls were slabs of glossy actinolite inlaid with cinnabar, jade, galena, pyrite, and blue malachite in representations of fantastic birds. His bedroom was a tent 30 feet high. 2 walls were dark green fabric. A third was golden rust. The 4th opened upon the private garden. Murphy's bed was a pink and yellow creation, 10 feet square, soft as cobweb, smelling of rose sandalwood. Carved black lacquer tubs held fruit. 2 dozen wines, liquors, syrups, essences flowed at a touch from as many ebony spigots. The garden centered on a pool of cool water, very pleasant in the hothouse climate of Singalut. The only shortcoming was the lack of the lovely young servitors Murphy had envisioned. He took it upon himself to repair this lack, and in a shady winehouse behind the palace called the Barinjapan, he made the acquaintance of a girl musician named Sork Ponjabang. He found her enticing tones of quavering sweetness from the gamelan, an instrument well loved in Old Bali. Sok Panjabong had the delicate features and transparent skin of Sumatra, the supple long limbs of Arabia, and in a pair of wide and golden eyes, a heritage from somewhere in Celtic Europe. Murphy brought her a goblet of frozen shavings, each a different perfume, while he himself drank white rice beer. Sok Ponjabong displayed an intense interest in the ways of Earth, and Murphy found it hard to guide the conversation. Wilbur, she said. Such a funny name, Wilbur. Do you think I could play the gamelan in the great cities, the great palaces of Earth? Sure, there's no law against gamelans. You talk so funny, Wilbur. I like to hear you talk. I suppose you get kind of bored here in Singalut? She shrugged. Life is pleasant, but it concerns with little things. We have no great adventures. We grow flowers. We play the gamelan. She eyed him archly sidelong. We love. We sleep. Murphy grinned. You run amok? No. That is no more. Not since the Sjambaks, eh? The Sjambaks are bad, but better than amok. When a man feels the knot forming around his chest, he no longer takes his kriss and runs down the streets. He becomes Sjambak. This was getting interesting. Where does he go? What does he do? He robs. Who does he rob? What does he do with his loot? She leaned toward him. It is not well to talk of them. Why not? The Sultan does not wish it. Everywhere are listeners. When one talks Sjambak, the Sultan's ears rise like the points on a cat. Suppose they do. What's the difference? I've got a legitimate interest. I saw one of them in that cage out there. That's torture. I want to know about it. Oh, he is very bad. He opened the monorail car and the air rushed out. 42 Singalusi and Hadrasi bloated and blew up. And what happened to the Sjambak? He took all the gold and money and jewels and ran away. Ran where? Out across the great Farasang plain. But he was a fool. He came back to Singalut for his wife. He was caught and set up for all people to look at, so they might tell each other, thus it is for Sjambaks. Where do the Sjambaks hide out? Oh, she looked vaguely around the room. Out on the plains, in the mountains. They must have some shelter. An airdome. No, the Sultan would send out his patrol boat and destroy them. They roam quietly. They hide among the rocks and tend their oxygen stills. Sometimes they visit the old cities. I wonder, said Murphy, staring into his beer, could it be Sjambaks who ride horses up to meet the spaceships? Sok Panjobong knit her black eyebrows as if preoccupied. That's what brought me out here, Murphy went on. This story of a man riding a horse out in space. Ridiculous. We have no horses in Cirgamesç. All right, the steward won't swear to the horse. Suppose the man was up there on foot or riding a bicycle, but the steward recognized the man. Who was this man, pray? The steward clammed up. The name would have been just noise to me anyway. I might recognize the name. Ask him yourself. The ship's still out at the field. She shook her head slowly, holding her golden eyes on his face. I do not care to attract the attention of either steward, Sjambak, or Sultan. Murphy said impatiently, in any event, it's not who, but how. How does the man breathe? Vacuum sucks a man's lungs up out of his mouth, bursts his stomach, his ears. We have excellent doctors, said Sok Panjabang, shuddering. But alas, I am not one of them. One more segment. Murphy looked at her sharply. Her voice held the plangent sweetness of her instrument with additional overtones of mockery. There must be some kind of invisible dome around him, holding in the air, said Murphy. And what if there is? It's something new, and if it is, I want to find out about it. Sok smiled languidly. You are so typical of an old lander, worried, frowning, dynamic. You should relax, cultivate napao, enjoy life as we do here in Singalut. What's napao? It's our philosophy, where we find meaning and life and beauty in every aspect of the world. That Sjambak in the cage could do with a little less napao right now. No doubt, he is unhappy, she agreed. Unhappy? He's being tortured. He broke the Sultan's law. His life is no longer his own. It belongs to Singalut. If the Sultan wishes to use it to warn other wrongdoers, the fact that the man suffers is of small interest. If they all wear that metal ornament, how can they hope to hide out? He glanced at her own bare bosom. They appear by night, slip through the streets like ghosts. She looked in turn at Murphy's loose shirt. You will notice persons brushing up against you, feeling you. She laid her hand along his breast. And when this happens, you will know they are agents of the Sultan, because only strangers in the house may wear shirts. But now let me sing to you, a song from the old land, old Java. You will not understand the tongue, but no other words, so join the voice of the gamelan. Alright, we will stop there for now and read part 2 either tomorrow or Monday, I suspect. thanks for hanging, if you did. And if you're listening later on YouTube, well, thanks for that too. As always, thank you to Aindulmedir for the use of his tunes. Today we listened to, what was it? Winter Scriptures, I believe. You can find him, the Lunar Lexicon. You can find him on YouTube, Spotify, or Bandcamp, so go check him out. And as always, thanks for chilling, and I don't know. Yeah, take it easy. See you next time.